In today's episode of You Can't Make This Stuff Up, well, this story is messy. It's painful, it is unbelievable, and it is the perfect example of how secrets and silence can destroy families long after someone is gone. I'm attorney Otto, and I tell real world legal stories so your family does not become the next cautionary tale. All right, let's get into it. Our main character is Robert Hayes, Florida businessman. He was charming, well liked, great reputation in the community. He was married for 32 years to Linda, the legal wife, the only wife Florida recognizes. Together, they raised two now adult children, Marcus, the older son, Chloe, the younger daughter. Great home, great career, great image. Now, here is the part Linda did not know. For more than a decade, Robert was living a second life. He had a girlfriend named Alicia. And here's where things get legally dangerous. Robert also married Alicia in another county, creating two competing wives on paper. And with Alicia, he had two minor children, Jordan, age 12, Sierra, age 9. To Alicia, Robert claimed that he was divorced. To Linda, he claimed that he was always working late or traveling for work. And to the world, he seemed like a loyal, devoted husband. To both women, depending on which part of the world you were in. And to make matters worse, Robert had no will, no trust, no instructions, nothing. Just a ticking time bomb. Now, before we go further, let me show you how deep this double life went. You see, Robert didn't just have a side chick situation. This man built two parallel universes. He had two identities, two homes, two sets of children, Marcus and Chloe with Linda, Jordan and Sierra with Alicia. Two fully separate families, two phones, two explanations for every missed holiday, two anniversary dates, two versions of who he was as a man. This wasn't just cheating. This was architecture. This was project management. This was a full-blown, carefully constructed double existence. And the more complicated the double life, the more catastrophic the probate. So, all right, let's continue. One day, Robert dies suddenly from a heart attack while traveling. Law enforcement contacts next of kin. So they call Linda, the legal wife, but then they also had to call Alicia, the other wife, or the other woman, I should say, who believed she was a wife, and the mother of Robert's younger children. As you can imagine, both women rushed to the hospital to identify the body, and they arrived within minutes of each other. Silence, confusion, shock, accusations, screaming, two families staring at each other like, who are you? And worst of all, four devastated children watching their worlds collide. You really cannot make this stuff up. And later, they both contact the life insurance company, both women confidently saying, my husband passed away, I'm the wife. Two claims, one policy, one dead man. Then, of course, probate comes up. Who is entitled to the multi-million-dollar estate he left behind? Now, there is an unspoken truth in Florida. When it comes to probate court, the person who files first often shapes the narrative. So Linda, the legal wife of 32 years, she immediately files for probate. But Alicia doesn't go quietly. She files too. And she shows up to court with photos, school records, text messages, vacation receipts, financial support statements, birthday cards, wedding pictures, cards that were signed, love dad, love hubby, screenshots of Robert calling her kids my babies. And suddenly the judge is staring at a family tree that looks like a telenova storyboard. Everyone wants a piece. Now let me pause here because this is where people get confused. People will sometimes ask me, well, why do we even need probate? In Florida, if someone dies with assets in their name alone, with no beneficiaries and no trust, the court must step in to identify the correct heirs, to gather all assets, pay debts, and make sure everything is distributed according to the law. Now, that process, sorting out the entire estate, that's what we call probate. And because Robert left no will, Florida does not look to determine what he would have wanted. Florida simply applies the law. That legal system is called intestacy. And this is where things get explosive. Linda assumed that whatever he left behind would naturally pass to her because, after all, she is the legal wife and she is the mother of his 2 children. And under normal circumstances, she would have been right. If Robert only had children with Linda, if the only children he had were the 2 he had with her, she would have inherited everything. But because he had additional children outside the marriage, Florida law shifts into a completely different formula. By law, Linda receives 50%, and all of Robert's other children, including the secret ones, share the other 50%. And Alicia, she receives nothing personally because Florida does not recognize a second spouse when you already have a legal marriage in place. And if you're wondering, yes, Robert could have changed all of this. If Robert had signed a will or created a trust, he could have completely rewritten these results. He could have assigned specific percentages to his wife and to each child. He could have increased or reduced anyone's share. He could have left everything to his wife with instructions for how the children should be cared for. Or he could have left a portion to a charity of his choice. One critical thing that most people do not realize: children do not have an automatic inheritance right in Florida if there is a valid estate plan in place. The only person Florida automatically protects is a legal spouse. And even that can actually be planned around with the proper waivers or trust planning. But Robert had literally nothing in place. So Florida wrote his plan for him. And that is when the real damage begins, because once probate opens up, nothing stays hidden. Bank statements get subpoenaed, transfers get traced, accounts get exposed, and what the attorneys uncover next turns a painful family tragedy into a full-blown legal explosion. Once the attorneys dig in, the secrets do not trickle out, they explode. And suddenly, Robert's double life is no longer theory. It is documented in black and white. They uncover a second apartment in Alicia's name, a private account, a checking account Linda never knew existed, over $140,000 in hidden transfers, a fully funded college account for the younger children, monthly car payments for Alicia, and an additional life insurance policy quietly naming Alicia as the beneficiary. With every new discovery, the emotional damage multiplies. Linda, the wife of 32 years, is of course furious. Marcus, the oldest son, he feels like his entire childhood was a lie. Who was this man that raised me and I called dad? Chloe is heartbroken, but trying desperately to keep the peace. Alicia is in full survival mode, trying to protect her children. And Jordan and Sierra, the minors, are grieving, confused, and terrified. Meanwhile, the estate that everyone thought initially was worth around $3 million grows to $4.2 million as hidden assets surface. And every dollar that appears is another dollar Linda is now legally required to share with children she did not even know existed. And now we get to the tragic part most people don't ever consider. Marcus, Linda's oldest child, refuses to accept that those children, his actual siblings, should inherit. He is angry at Robert, angry at Alicia, and resentful toward the minors. Chloe tries to stay neutral, but she's hurting too. Meanwhile, Alicia's children, Jordan and Sierra, just want stability and safety. They didn't choose any of this. They didn't choose this life. They did not cause this pain, but they are stuck in the middle of the war. 3 years of litigation, nearly $200,000 in legal fees, and every relationship permanently destroyed. And all of this because one man lived a lie and never made a plan. After years of fighting, the estate is finally settled. Linda, the legal wife, she receives about $1.8 million. Marcus and Chloe, the adult children, receive about $450,000 each. Jordan and Sierra, the minor children, they also receive about $450,000 each in court supervised trusts. Now, Alicia, the long-term partner who thought she was the wife, well, she received nothing because she was not a legal spouse. But guess what? She gets to manage the $900,000 awarded to her children. And the two families never speak again. So, what's the real lesson here? This is not just a story about estate planning. This is a story about character. A will cannot fix betrayal. A will cannot repair a double life. A neatly organized binder cannot heal destroyed relationships. When you live a double life, when you lead two families, when you split yourself into two different identities, you do not just divide your time. You divide your legacy. You divide your children. You divide every person who ever loved you. Estate planning matters, but integrity matters more. If you take anything from this story, let it be this. Protect your family with honesty. Protect them with clarity. Protect them with fidelity. And protect them with a real plan. Because your legacy should be something your family is proud of, not something they have to survive. If this story opened your eyes, hit subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss the next episode of You Can't Make This Stuff Up. Every week, I break down real cases, real disasters, and real lessons that can save your family from real chaos. And if you want to protect your family from probate nightmares, blended family disasters, or hidden asset surprises, download my free Florida estate planning checklist. The link is in the description. I'm Attorney Otto. Plan wisely, live confidently, and I'll see you next time.